From this distant vantage point, the Earth might not seem of any particular interest. But for us, it's different. Consider again that dot. That's here. That's home. That's us.
Welcome to God is Digital, a channel dedicated to unraveling the deepest mysteries of existence.
In our very first episode, we dive into the astonishing world within our own minds. A world where our brains create a virtual reality based on the information we receive through our senses. Hi, I'm your host Jacob Morpheus, and today we're going to unravel how our brains construct the reality we perceive every day. It's a seamless and immersive process that we often take for granted, yet it's fundamental to our world experience. Open your eyes and what do you see? Everything around you, from the smallest details to the vast landscapes, is a product of your brain's incredible ability to process and interpret sensory information. Our journey begins with our senses: sight, sound, touch, taste, and smell. These are the portals through which we interact with the world. Each sense organ translates physical stimuli into electrical signals that travel to our brain. Let's take vision, for example. When light enters our eyes, it's converted into electrical signals by photoreceptor cells in the retina. These signals are then sent to the brain, where they're processed to form images. But it doesn't stop there. The brain's visual cortex not only processes these signals but also interprets them, filling in gaps and making sense of patterns to create a coherent picture of our surroundings. Our brains are constantly receiving and processing an overwhelming amount of sensory information. What's fascinating is how the brain filters, prioritizes, and integrates this data to create a unified experience of reality. This filtering process is crucial. Our brains are incredibly selective, focusing on certain details while ignoring others. This selective attention allows us to navigate and interact with the world efficiently. Sound works in a similar way. Vibrations in the air are picked up by our ears and converted into electrical signals, which are then processed by the auditory cortex. Our brain deciphers these signals to understand speech, recognize music, and sense danger. But what about our other senses? Let's explore how touch, smell, and taste contribute to our perception of reality. The sense of touch is mediated by receptors in our skin that detect pressure, temperature, and pain. These receptors send signals through our nervous system to the brain, where they are interpreted as various sensations. Touch helps us interact with our environment, feel textures, and sense physical harm. When you touch something, whether it's the softness of a pet's fur or the sharpness of a needle, your brain processes these signals and creates a tactile map of the world around you. Smell, or olfaction, involves detecting airborne chemicals through receptors in the nasal cavity. These chemical signals are then converted into electrical impulses and sent to the olfactory bulb in the brain. Our sense of smell is closely linked to memory and emotion, often triggering vivid recollections and feelings. The scent of a flower or the aroma of food can evoke powerful memories and emotions, highlighting the deep connection between smell and our internal experience. Taste, or gustation, works through taste buds on our tongue that detect 5 primary tastes: sweet, sour, salty, bitter, and umami. These signals are sent to the brain, where they combine with input from smell and touch to create the complex flavors we experience when eating. Eating is a multisensory experience, engaging sight, sound, taste, smell, and touch to create a rich and satisfying perception. Similarly, sexual reproduction is also a deeply multisensory experience. These two fundamental aspects of life, eating and reproducing, are among the most important experiences and involve the full spectrum of our senses. But here's where it gets really interesting. The reality we perceive is not a perfect replica of the external world. It's a constructed experience influenced by our memories, emotions, worldview, and expectations. Have you ever experienced searching for an item, like your keys, in a particular spot, only to find them there later after looking in the same place several times? This phenomenon illustrates how our brains can sometimes erase items from our field of view due to selective attention and cognitive biases. This common experience happens because our brain sometimes filters out certain details when it's overwhelmed or when it assumes the object isn't there. It's a fascinating example of how our perception is shaped not just by what we see, but by what our brain expects to see. This selective perception highlights how our brains construct reality based on what they deem important. But what about other phenomena that play tricks on our perception? Pareidolia, where we see familiar shapes like faces in clouds, and optical illusions that trick our visual system, show us how our brains can be deceived. Magic tricks exploit these quirks of perception, making us believe the impossible by manipulating our sensory expectations. These examples illustrate how our brains can create realities that differ significantly from objective truth, shaped by both our internal processing and external influences. Understanding these mechanisms helps us appreciate the complexity and subjectivity of our perceptions. But what happens when we look at other species? Their sensory perceptions shape their realities in ways that are vastly different from ours. Consider the experience of a dog and a bee compared to that of a human. Each species perceives the world in a uniquely different way due to the distinct sensory capabilities of their brains. Dogs, for example, have a highly developed sense of smell. They experience the world through their noses, with scent playing a crucial role in how they perceive their surroundings. While humans primarily rely on sight, dogs use their olfactory senses to gather information, detect danger, and even recognize individuals. Their reality is a rich tapestry of scents that humans can barely comprehend. For a dog, a walk in the park is an olfactory adventure, with every tree, bush, and blade of grass offering a unique scent profile. This olfactory map allows them to navigate and interact with their environment in ways humans cannot. Bees, on the other hand, perceive the world through a combination of visual and ultraviolet light. They can see ultraviolet patterns on flowers that are invisible to the human eye, guiding them to nectar. Bees also use polarized light to navigate, enabling them to find their way back to the hive even on cloudy days. For a bee, the landscape is marked by vibrant ultraviolet patterns and invisible trails of polarized light, creating a reality vastly different from our own. Their sensory world is a dynamic interplay of visual cues that direct their daily activities. These examples illustrate how each species constructs its own version of reality based on its unique sensory capabilities. While humans rely heavily on vision, other species like dogs and bees navigate their worlds through scent and specialized visual systems. This diversity in perception highlights the subjective nature of reality and challenges us to expand our understanding of consciousness and experience. In future episodes, we'll explore these questions and more. We'll delve into the nature of consciousness, the possibility of artificial minds, and what it means to exist in a digital cosmos. We will also journey through the origins of life, evolution, and ideas akin to the Gaia hypothesis. We will examine how life on Earth is interconnected in ways we are just beginning to understand. Could our brains, like sophisticated computers, simulate reality for us to navigate? Join us on God is Digital as we journey into the heart of these mysteries, seeking to understand the fabric of reality and the nature of existence. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon to stay updated on our latest explorations. Until next time, remember, reality is more than what we perceive.